Grayson, San Joaquin Valley, California, 1938. Say for a moment there is this building, too broad or close for the picture, which looms in the picture like a bad dream, an image pressed half on the mind's eye, half onto some darkness just out of reach. Lines of raw clapboard cross from frame to frame, while the roof tree, centered, lets in two triangles of sky, gray as the building is gray, but paler, flatter, if anything more coincidental than the crude structure that hulks like a bad conscience on a bleak plain we do not see but feel, a dull ache of distance that comes these last miles to lie in the open crawl space like a dark stain. And the building hangs like that in air, between earth and sky, darkness and sun, and rivets the eye like a pale scar. Or say it is a building built to be come to, built like the men who built it, who, if they knew little of heaven, knew what they needed of wood and iron, that is made wholly of wood and iron, built like a hobnail boot. And say, dead center in the picture, a man lies, that the building surrounds him as though he had dreamed it, as though he had nailed each board, but say he is only a gunny sack with ankles, a corpse left in the shade where the rotting is slower, whether church or school or meeting hall. Say it is a building where men came to listen, its floor and benches full of splinters, the wind through its boards a groaning of iron. Or say the possibilities run out, that it is a building built by men who spoke prose and died without fanfare. Say there is this silence. Walking Wounded, Oakland, 1954. There is a moment, albeit hypothetical, when something foreign passing through something familiar leaves only a blackness, a record of travel. Blood bulges and overruns the whole, and sometimes a scream flaps out from the first "oh" of astonishment, the face gathering darkness like a hole that will never again get quite filled in. The man in this corridor is pure darkness, the florist floor, a black loam you could lie down in, dreaming of the long rays of sunlight that never come. It is a dream from which no one wakes. The man in this corridor intrudes almost not at all. A black shoulder, a black pant leg, a dead foot and thin line of black crutch angling from behind a telephone pole. There's no body, only darkness reshuffling. No face, only a meeting of moles holding silent parley in an unmarked grave. A city is closing on the man in this photograph. The telephone pole looks broad as a door, and the blank wall that is the whole right side of the picture looms somehow closer. It is washed whiter than any scar. Tocqueville, Utah, 1953. Whatever it was, it happened here. Sometime after rain in Tocqueville. You walked toward a wall, the progress slow. It leaned toward you, cracking, as if trying to accommodate to vague shifts of sunlight or weather. The scorched air crackled like an old newsreel. In it men drop like flies, rise up again, salute and fall back. There was the sound of rain, a little wind, and slowly the wall took on a blotchy, blood-spattered look, an enemy wall, greasy with old deceits, muffled cries. Then the late sun, sliding into a window pane, reflected a small path through the forest, though there was no forest. Only deceptions of sun in late summer, when the roads, even after rain, stay dusty, haggard, as from men marching. You arrived, flagging, unhealthy. You felt somehow more like your grandfather, weak-eyed, troubled, a face forever slashed by a pale blur of sunlight you were always approaching, even into twilight. Turn now, and face this camera full face, the wall behind you. Remember the evidence, your grandfather's face, starched, formal. Remember the patched plaster of faces. It is all you will ever have to remember. Remember when the pieces come together in the cold porcelain of your mind's eye. It will be someone else's grandfather who stares out, bland and unblemished, wearing your face. You will be gone then. It will be sometime after rain in Tokerville. Man stepping from curb, 1956. This blind black stepping into gray, this gathering of light around dark edges, this hanging headless, weightless, this hungering for loose hair and wide thighs, this too taut skin in too slack hair, this hope, despair, this running through fingers, stone in the hand, empty waking, hanged man, thief, this gathering of night, dispersing of stars, this flapping in the breeze, this anger, this loneliness, this wide emptiness, falling into stars, ether, this rise again into ossified earth, this walking, waking, dark angel hanging, moon forever rising, sun forever falling. Reflect, reflect.